Now, right now, we are blessed to have somebody who has deeply impacted my life. For the last year, I have been part of something that is led by the Townsend Leadership Institute. They put together something called Leader Check-In and Leader Impact, and I don't even remember all the names because it's been such a long day, but they are about caring for the whole person, impacting leaders, empowering emotional health, giving practical tips. We are so excited to have with us Dr. John Townsend. John, thanks for being here. We're excited to hear what God's put on your heart.
Glad to be here, Nick. And by the way, you're being prayed for by my team because I know that you've been up for a while and you need strength too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take it away.
Well, when you first contacted me about what the best thing to do, you said something really helpful. You said be practical and be biblical. And I thought that's exactly what people need these days. We're in very, very trying times. And I wanted to come out with something that would provide sort of a structure to help leaders think, goodness gracious, is the business in free fall? Am I gluing my family together? Where's an order? Because most of what I study, Nick, it has to do with neuroscience, neuropsychology. And in neuroscience, you find out that every robust study in neuroscience about relationships and success, and also about, resilience in troubled times, basically affirms that the Bible had it right forever. God had it right in all the principles in his word about relationship, about challenges and meeting them. So I wanted to give something because the brain, the studies say the brain needs a structure. We need a checklist. We just can't be willy-nilly. So I came up with 5 quick daily must-dos for leaders. 5 quick daily must-dos for leaders during these times that you got to do every day. I do it every day. The people I train, we have to do it every day because we need to know sort of like something has some order to it. Now, Nick, I'm going to tell you the acronym, and that's a silly acronym, but it's going to work. It's Smurf. All right, think about those little blue people back in the TV show. Well, I promise you, you will never forget the word Smurf. It's memorable, and it's a different spelling. They use an U, I use an E. But I want you to do your Smurf every day if you're a leader, and here's what they stand for. First off, every day, you've got to check in spiritual. That's the S. What does that mean? It means focused time with God and asking him to help you lead well. It's that simple. One of my favorite leadership prayers in all of the Bible is 1 Kings 3:9. And Solomon, who led a great nation, prayed to God, so give your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, to discern between good and evil. We got some discerning to do between the best and the worst decisions these days. For who is able to judge these great people of yours? So it's just one of those great prayers that changes everything when we pray that. And I start my day saying that. I need an understanding heart to judge God. I don't know the right way to go in chaos. And people need those things, and you can judge. Now, the reason I said focus time was deliberate because leaders were sort of all ADD. We got a million irons in the fire, and we got texts, and we got reports to write, and we got people wanting to get hold of us. That's just leadership. Focus time doesn't mean, though, while I'm thinking of something else, finishing a report, walking around doing something, listening to people knocking on my door. Focus time means focus. The brain needs dedicated time. And we need all that God has for us, and we want to give him all we have to him. So however long you take for that, don't combine it with something else. I used to do that, and it didn't work. I kind of got half the time, and I think God did too. Besides that, I think it's kind of rude. I mean, can you imagine opening your heart up to a friend of yours about how your day's going, and they go, oh, gosh, that must be tough. Tell me some more about that. Well, that'd just be awful, and you don't want to do that. Focused, dedicated time with God. That's your S. Every day. The M is for mental. And the mental has to do with we've got to get our game suit on mentally, because this is requiring a lot of leaders. And every day I tell people in the morning to write down, I'm doing this myself, I will make rational decisions today. I will make rational decisions today. I will have what Timothy calls sober judgment. And the reason I say that is that, God made us both emotional creatures. We have feelings. He has feelings. We also made us mental, thinking, cognitive people too. And we can never neglect that part of us. But when you tell yourself by writing it down, I'm going to make rational decisions, leadership decisions today, your brain goes, thank you, because the brain loves order. The brain loves structure. The brain says, oh, I know what I'm going to do. And it focuses and it enhances the ability of your intellect to go, I'm not going to make impulsive decisions today. I'm not going to make off-the-cuff decisions today. I'm going to think through these and look at the risk and reward and look at the unintended consequences. And I'm going to do a SWOT analysis of the next decision I got to make. That's what rational decisions are. And I didn't say type it either, Nick. I said write it, because we found out that the brain operates better when we write it down, not on a keyboard. We write it down here, that little sentence. There's something, we don't quite understand it, but there's something about how the brain connects through the nerves down to the hand, and it works better. So do not neglect every day, while we're getting through this, I'm going to make rational, not impulsive, not off the cuff, thought through decisions about and get all the facts I can. Because the big problem right now in leadership is we have to make decisions while we don't have the information to make decisions. Look at the markets. Look at what's going on in the economy. Look at what's going on in the church. But you still have to make the decisions with a diminished ability to have information. Don't wait for all the information. You've got to make a rational decision about money and people and personnel and future and strategy without all the necessary information. Number one thing I see in leadership is we keep saying, I need more info. We don't have it. So make the best decision. Thirdly is emotional. That's E, not an R, but an E. And this has to do with the emotional side of us, because what we're finding out is that the greatest leaders who are doing well in crisis are not just rational people, but they are highly emotionally attuned. And very simply, every day, I want you to do this. Ask yourself what you're feeling and why. First off, what am I feeling? Because your feelings get overwhelmed when we go into what we call emotional dysregulation. We just kind of tamp them down. I'm going to stay busy, head down, move forward. I won't feel these things. Well, it comes out in irritation. It comes out in concentration problems. It comes out in energy problems. It comes out in not being the best leader we can be. When you're tamping and repressing those emotions down, I just don't want to think about them. It never works. The emotions are stronger than that. But if you say, why am I feeling that? I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, The Power of Why. I want to find out why. And the other day I woke up and I was kind of depressed, and I have a lot to do. And I wondered, why am I depressed? Why am I feeling these like sad feelings or the kind of these negative feelings? I realized I'd worked for 3 nights straight too long, and I hadn't got the sleep I needed. And I've got a kind of a decent regimen, but I got so into the research and studying this stuff and making content and all this, I just didn't get to bed on time. And I woke up and I got depressed after the 3rd day. It's like my brain was saying, the emotional side said, John, slow down. You're going to feel this way until you take care of yourself better. So I had a nap that day, went to bed on time. I listened to the feelings. I didn't try to repress the feelings. But here's the other part, leaders. Not only ask yourself what you're feeling and why, one time every day. Am I feeling good, bad, angry, sad, guilty, frustrated, whatever. One feeling at least. But as a leader, you need to dig into the what and why of a person you lead, because they're not doing well with emotions either. And they need a leader that says, not only I'm with you, do the job, but how are you feeling, Sam? Seriously, how are you feeling this time? How are you feeling, Susie? And they will be overwhelmed and grateful that they've got a leader who has what we call emotional intelligence. You want to not only care about me, but you care about my insights. Yeah, I care about your insights. I want to hear how you're really feeling with financial issues, career issues, family health, these sorts of things, and help them dig into the why. So here's what I'm feeling and why. If you do it with yourself and with at least one person you lead, we might be talking about a family member, your spouse, we might be talking about your kids or your directs, just your employees, one person you lead. The next one is relational. That's the R in Smurf. Relational means that God made us relational beings. We get so much from God, what I call vertically, from his word, the power of his word, and the Holy Spirit. I loved hearing what Beth said about the power of the word. I just love that teaching. The word, prayer, the Holy Spirit. But there's another aspect for leaders that the Bible talks about called I call it the horizontal. And the horizontal means there are hundreds of Bible passages that say we get grace and truth from each other as well as God. Don't neglect the horizontal. Ecclesiastes 4, woe to you if you fall and there's nobody to lift you up. 1 Peter 4:10 says, we are the stewards of his manifold grace. So never neglect the horizontal. And what I find that leaders in a crisis do, they're pretty good with the vertical. They go to the Lord, they commit, they read their Bible, they experience the Holy Spirit. And they're pretty good with people. In other words, they're good on the outgo with people. They guide, they love, they comfort, they support. Here's where they break down. You need to be vulnerable. You, the leader, needs to also be vulnerable. In my book, People Fuel, I say you got to have 3 to 10 people, leader, not people that you're mentoring, developing, guiding. We need all that. But you need 3 to 10 people that you can say to them, can I vent? Can I download? I'm feeling incompetent. There's things going on that I can't control. I'm feeling like I'm letting everybody down. I'm worried about my own family. I don't know if I'm leading well. There's answers I don't have. Now, I'm not talking, you don't do that with your directs, of course. You don't do that with the people you're trying to lead. That's a different kind of vulnerability. That's when you just say, it's hard, I'm struggling too, but don't go into the details because they really need you to lead. But you better have 3 to 10 people that are in what your life sphere, your life team, that aren't working directly for you, that you can say, let me take my leader hat off. It's hard. And I love the Lord and I love you guys, but I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed, and I have these feelings. And what you'll find out, if it's the right person, they'll say, I feel privileged to be with you. And just tell them, I don't need advice right now. I don't need 3 steps. I don't need anything except for I need you. If you go to Job chapter 2, the 3 things, the only one thing that his 3 friends did that was worth anything was this. It said they sat with Job 7 days and 7 nights and did not speak a word to him, for they knew his grief was very great. He just needed them to be emotionally present. So ask somebody, can you just like be with me? And have them say things like, and do this with them, like, it's got to be hard. It sounds overwhelming. Tell me more. How's that feel? I'm with you. It sounds helpless. It sounds so sad. And we call this in the psychological clinical world, we call that attunement. When you're tuning in like a radar tunes in, all of a sudden, it's so amazing how the brain works. The brain goes, I'll get to my solutions later, but I need to know that I'm not alone. Being not alone is the thing that solves just about everything because it gets our brain back so we can think clearly. So be vulnerable and ask somebody, can you just be with me while I just tell you how bad it really is? Not just your spouse. Leaders tend to go too much on their spouse and their spouse gets really overwhelmed. You got to have those 3 to 10 people. Give the spouse a break here. But you've also got to elicit that from the others. What you just received, you go to your directs, go to your family and say, I want to tell you I'm on your team. And the last one is functional. Functional is the F in Smurf. Functional is the fact that we are doers, we are actors, we have to do things in life. And every day requires a structure. So I have 2 things to tell you about that because this kind of keeps, like as I said, the brain needs order. God is not a God of chaos, he's a God of order. You need to have a to-do list every day. You have to have, even if it feels arbitrary, like have lunch at 12. Why not have it at 11? No, have it at 12. And what time is your team meeting? And then what time is your sales meeting? And what time is the financial meeting? And when's the all hands meeting? Go ahead and put that down. And on the weekends, don't just live in chaos on the weekends. Work out, go to church, be with kids, have TV time on, TV time off. You've got to have a structure. But here's the other part. Tie it into your pre-crisis mission. Tie your to-do list every day into your pre-crisis mission. Don't think, I'm just going to go survival today, survival tomorrow, survival tomorrow. You got to survive. But leaders have got to be more than that. You had a mission before COVID. You had a mission before the crisis. You've got to keep saying, why is my company here? Why is my organization here? Why is my church here? And what is our mission? Review the mission on the website and go, is my to-do list, I got to survive, but is my to-do list also helping me to forward my pre-crisis mission? Because when all this is over, your mission will remain. The mission was there before the crisis, and it will be there after the crisis. SMERF every day, doesn't take long, and it will give your brain an order for the day, and you'll feel better.
John, thank you so much. I always love how you are so practical and just giving people tools and resources. Is there a place online that you would point people to where they can find more of your material and content?
Sure. It's drtownsend.com. That's a drtownsend.com.
drtownsend.com. We will try to post that on the Leader Check-In site. Got a couple questions here from people tuning in online and around the world. We've seen now over 300,000 people on Facebook Live today tuning in, and tens of thousands on YouTube. Couple questions here from Tennessee. Somebody saying this, is leadership, he says, I've been elected as vice president of my student ministry at my high school, and I am worried about leadership. Is leadership lonely?
It starts off lonely, but it cannot stay lonely. You need to have, for one thing, just congratulations, you made it and you've been selected. You should not be in a position where there aren't people that you can download to and vent to and get guidance from. So now that you're in that position, you'll be lonely about all the people below you. I mean, they're nice people, they depend on you, but that's not where you get your tank full. Get 3-4 people, go to the senior pastor and say, who do I meet with once a week? Get an ad hoc board of advisors. Get somebody in your life, and every week just to say, I'm not ministering to you. I love you, but I need you to tell me, how do I help the kids when things are going upside down, when they're getting scared? What are my tool sets? You've got to get at least 3 people around you, and that will take care of the loneliness.
Great advice, and I would encourage you, young leader, to take that into practice. I've heard from John, and it's impacted me. Here's another one. This is coming from overseas. With COVID-19, how do we help those that seem to be dealing with some sort of PTSD?
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. The good news is that with HIPAA relaxing its regulations now, telemedicine is doing a very good job. Now they've relaxed it for the therapist also. Telecounseling is doing a very good job. So if it's a diagnosable condition like PTSD, you've got to get online, and now you can get anybody in the world and say, I can't get out of the house, but I've got this condition. It's not something that lay people can do. But you can be kind to a person who's got PTSD. You can tell them, I want to hear it. I want to understand. I'll be there with you, but you can't fix them. So pray for them. Be there with them. Be present with them, like I talked about, attuned to them, but push them toward professional help. That's what we found out really works these days, is the right clinician with the right approach. Telemedicine works.
Last question. This is personal for me. I lost my sister a couple months ago. I know a lot of people have lost loved ones. Sometimes when you're in grief, you feel like you can't move. You are paralyzed. You feel like you can't go on. Nothing makes sense anymore. What advice would you give for those that just feel lost right now?
So I had heard you said that earlier, and I knew you were close to her. And sorry to hear that, Nick. Just a few things about that. First off, understand that grief is a sign that someone mattered. People that never grieve are saying, nobody mattered to me. You're saying, I am so lost and I'm so stuck because you were so important to me, and you have to value that. The second thing is, grief alone takes about twice the amount of time to resolve, Nick, especially when we feel paralyzed, because you're talking about a grief that also probably has some depression related to it, and depression it'll paralyze us. Grief in community is cut about in half the amount of time it takes. So the last thing a person needs is to be alone. Certainly, you got to be with God, but you got to be like with Job's friends on their good day, and sit with them online or whatever, and just say, I'm going to tell you how much I miss this person. Here's what I loved. Here's what I wanted. Here's what I'm going to miss. I'm feeling something right now. I've had some losses. And then when the people are with you and they get it, what you find is the body starts coming back and the energy starts coming back, and you feel more alive, because now you're not alone with your grief. You have other people not taking you out of the grief. This is the key. They're entering the grief with you, and then you can be taking action steps for health, nutrition, sleep, all the things we need to do.
Dr. Townsend, I can't thank you enough. Your work in writing has literally changed my life. Leah Nelson, our mutual friend, is my personal coach and counselor, and so I talk to her a couple times a month. So thank you for what you do. I've experienced the benefits, and I encourage other people to check out your work. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Nick. God bless you. Leah's a rock star. Also, I just found out we're on. I've got a Facebook Live regular show on the Crisis every Wednesday, so people can tune into that for free anytime they want.
Thank you so much. We'll check that out.